Crawford does with it. Here he comes. Backs him up with a left hand again. Horns in the corner. Uppercut lands. Crawford on the attack. That's it. It's over. It's over. We celebrated an undefeated Triple Count winner.
Today, we're grabbing our metaphorical magnifying glass and diving deep into the single most electrifying hypothetical and now actual super fight that the boxing universe can muster. Terrence "Bud" Crawford defying the odds and jumping not just a single weight class, but two, for a shot at dethroning Saul Canelo Alvarez. Yes, that's right, it's David versus Goliath, but with better footwork, more media obligations, and commentary that won't make you mute your TV. Strap in, this is going to be a gloves-off, satirical collision between two pound-for-pound monsters. Now let's paint the picture. Crawford, the Nebraska wizard, the switch-hitting chameleon whose biggest complaint about his diet is probably not enough knockouts on the menu, comes to the ring undefeated, undisputed, and with more tactical tricks than a magician at a children's birthday party. But then there's Canelo, the red-headed Terminator of Guadalajara, who started fighting professionally before he could legally buy a drink. With a record that would make most Hall of Famers blush and a chin that seems to be sponsored by titanium. The first and most obvious storyline is the size. Canelo lives at super middleweight, occasionally vacationing with a suitcase full of power at light heavyweight. Crawford, until now, has been terrorizing the welterweight and junior middleweight divisions. And make no mistake, those are entire galaxies apart in boxing. So the age-old question rears its head. Can speed, skill, and guile really conquer size, strength, and experience? Or is Crawford about to learn that pounds are even less forgiving in the ring than they are on a bathroom scale? Let's look at the matchup from an absurdly honest angle. If you've ever watched Crawford, you know he splashes through stances like they're puddles in a summer rainstorm. Orthodox, southpaw, these are just words to Terrence. He reads his opponents like they're overdue library books, patiently downloading patterns, timing, and rhythms until it's time to press delete on their hopes and dreams. Against Errol Spence Jr., he turned what the crowd expected to be a bulldozer battle into a masterclass where timing, not brute force, reigned supreme. The phrase, high Ming IQ, may as well be etched into the man's gloves at this point. On the other side, Canelo has been soaking up more ringside wisdom than Yoda with HBO access. Don't be fooled by the highlight reels of single-punch obliterations. Canelo is the ultimate chess player. He presses forward, seemingly inviting shots just so he can slip them, counter, and put one in the ouch section of his opponent's ribcage. He's beaten legends, conquered divisions, and still gets called overrated on Twitter by people who probably think CompuBox is a fancy scientific calculator. To beat Canelo, Crawford's gonna have to dig into his big box of wizard tricks and find some new ones. The catch-and-shoot move that has been Crawford's bread and butter against welterweights becomes, let's face it, a potential invitation for Canelo to RSVP right to his midsection. Canelo, notorious for his body shots, is the kingpin of taking away a man's legs and forcing him into a stationary target. Nothing kills mobility faster than the dreaded left hook to the liver. So if Crawford wants to dance, he'd better invest in a steel-plated ribcage. Here's where it gets spicy for the boxing nerds. Canelo, for all his power and experience, remains at heart a front-foot counterpuncher. He relies on rhythm, timing, and forcing his adversaries into patterns. Crawford, blessed with what might be the sport's most educated lead hand, can disrupt this more often than a toddler in a fine china shop. Sharp jabs, constant feints, lead hand probes. These tools, when executed perfectly, can keep Canelo from dialing in his combinations and scream "no rhythm for you" every round. Sorry, Saul, you might have to go full improv. Crawford's adaptability is, in some ways, the X factor. Think of him as the guy who walks into IKEA, ignores the manual, and still builds a better cabinet than the showroom display. He starts slow, studies, morphs his style on the fly, and when the target shows a soft spot, he pounces. Against Canelo, he'll need to frustrate him, force missed shots, and then make him pay with precise counters while refusing to stand in the pocket long enough for Canelo to set up traps. Picture a cat messing with a laser pointer. and hope the cat doesn't run out of batteries. But here's the comedic bit. Canelo's not just gonna stand there, admire Crawford's footwork, and say, wow, that's some crisp lateral movement. He's going to stalk him, cut off the ring, and invest early to the body, as if he's maxing out a 401k account. The goal is simple: slow down the smaller man, make him less dangerous, and ideally, force him into exchanges where size and natural power can finally make their presence felt. If Canelo can turn this chess match into a street brawl, expect him to grin wider than a kid at Christmas. That said, Crawford's jaw-dropping versatility isn't just for show. He's completely at home both as a counterpuncher and the aggressor, with enough athleticism to keep Canelo's head on a swivel. Those changes in rhythm, unpredictable combinations, and southpaw stints are designed to sap Canelo's composure and lure him into bad decisions. If you're a Canelo fan, you'll want to see your man ignore the showboating, stay patient, and not burn energy chasing shadows. Because if Crawford builds a points lead early, history suggests he's not the kind of guy you outsmart in the championship rounds. As if the stylistic chess wasn't enough, there's also the history of smaller men moving up to face Canelo. Let's reminisce. Amir Khan, whose chin has more stories than a library, boxed beautifully until he didn't. His lights and probably a few brain cells were turned off by a single Canelo haymaker, a reminder that sometimes physics matters more than ambition. Then there's the memory of Arislandi Lara, who through slick movement and constant jabbing came close to pulling off the unthinkable. Canelo struggled with Lara, but even then, found enough trackable moments to edge out a victory. Crawford's best-case scenario probably lives somewhere between those two performances, elusive enough to frustrate, brave enough to try and win 7 or more rounds on the cards. Of course, there's a tremendous asterisk to all of this. That asterisk is brought to you by Father Time and Boxing Politics, Inc. Canelo, while still at the peak of his stardom, isn't quite the all-out dynamo he was several years ago. The miles on his odometer are starting to show in certain fights, especially when pushed for stamina late. If Crawford, like a sneaky ninja, can drag this fight into the deep waters and force Canelo to work harder for his real estate, there's a scenario, however slim, where skill actually beats size. But let's not pretend this is a gimme, because if you leave your chin hanging against Canelo, you'll wake up to find Buffer screaming, "It's all over," in the other dimension. Let's get tactical. What actual game plan could give Crawford a shot at boxing immortality? First, the jab must become his Excalibur. It has to be both weapon and shield. Quick, purposeful, and relentless jabs disrupt Canelo's rhythm, keep him at bay, and set up those silky straight left hands. Next up, lateral movement and ring generalship must be master level. This is not the night for phone booth fighting or standing still admiring the crowd. Imagine Michael Jackson moonwalking away from an angry bull. Now make it southpaw. Crawford's bread and butter, those sudden stance switches, should serve to both confuse Canelo and offer windows for sneaky counters. He must draw out Canelo's counters, then punish the inevitable misses with fast, accurate shots. The moment you let Canelo paint you into a corner, you risk becoming a highlight clip for the ages. So Bud needs to create angles off every exchange, never allowing Canelo to set his feet and launch those infamous hooks. Let's not forget psychological warfare. Crawford, who despite his quiet persona, has been known for his icy confidence, might try some old-school gamesmanship. Irritate, taunt, disrupt, make Canelo swing at air, and question his choices. Every wasted punch by Canelo is a small victory for the smaller man. Just don't make Mama Alvarez mad. That's a fight no one wins. Crawford's bread and butter, those sudden stance switches, should serve to both confuse Canelo and offer windows for sneaky counters. He must draw out Canelo's counters, then punish the inevitable misses with fast, accurate shots. The moment you let Canelo paint you into a corner, you risk becoming a highlight clip for the ages. So Bud needs to create angles off every exchange, never allowing Canelo to set his feet and launch those infamous hooks. Let's not forget psychological warfare. Crawford, who despite his quiet persona, has been known for his icy confidence, might try some old-school gamesmanship. Irritate, taunt, disrupt, make Canelo swing at air, and question his choices. Every wasted punch by Canelo is a small victory for the smaller man. Just don't make Mama Alvarez mad. That's a fight no one wins. Now suppose you're screaming at the screen, what about power? Let's be real. Canelo's punching power is a little like planetary gravity. It bends you to its will. Even the greats have felt the difference moving up in weight. But skill, when weaponized at the highest level, can be a great equalizer. Crawford's pop at welterweight won't scare Canelo, but if he plants enough shots with precision, he can at least make Canelo respect what's coming back. A little like swatting a bear with a rolled-up newspaper. Might not kill him, but it'll keep him honest. Here's where it gets really juicy. The judges. Canelo has, let's just say, a reputation for friendly scoring in Las Vegas. For Crawford to get a decision, he might need to win as many as 8 rounds with authority, not just edge them. There's a reason some fighters feel like they have to almost knock Canelo out just to secure a fair shake on the cards. So Crawford must leave no doubt. Clear, sustained work rate, unmissable clean punching, and if possible, a show-stopping moment or two to burn his efforts into the minds of the officials. So what do the experts say? Opinions range from Canelo eats Crawford alive to Crawford is too slick, too skilled, it's destiny. Some see Canelo breaking Bud down with ruthless body shots and size, eventually stopping him late. Others side with Crawford's speed, mind games, and ability to turn a lion into a kitten with pure finesse. The reality is, both men represent the very pinnacle of the sport. Canelo's experience, iron chin, and world-class pressure up against Crawford's genius-level adaptability and ring IQ. It's power versus precision, brawn versus brain, Guadalajara grind versus Omaha elegance. Let's not overlook the human element. Both men are chasing history, but from opposite directions. Canelo wants to protect his kingdom, his undisputed crown, and to remind the world that no outsider, no matter how gifted, can waltz into his house and rearrange the furniture. Crawford, meanwhile, dares to become an eternal legend, the first 3-weight undisputed champion in men's boxing, a feat so rare it might make the Guinness Book faint from excitement. The subtext? Legacy is on the line, and neither man is here to hand out participation trophies.